Greetings, everyone out there. I am Eric Roberts, your host, better known as ATL E-Rob, and welcome to our studio podcast, where we stream your podcast and you live in ours. Today, I have a very, very, very special guest. And before I introduce this special guest, you are at the first season of As If We Were Ghosts, episode 2. And today is a special day. Today's topic is about leadership. And our guest right here, Dr. Eugene Walker, exemplifies leadership to the highest extent. When I say highest, y'all, I mean highest. Remember, you can follow us on Instagram at our studios. You can follow me on Instagram at ATL_ERob. And remember to stream this second episode, on erob.tv and all streaming platforms. So, without further ado, I want to introduce Dr. Eugene Walker.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you very
No
much.
No problem.
Fantastic introduction and this opportunity to just have a dialogue with you. I've been watching you for some time, and I've seen a couple of your podcasts, and I'm tremendously impressed with your depth of understanding and questions that you ask. So I'm really looking forward to this opportunity.
Thank you. It's going to be a great episode, y'all. Like I say, Dr. Eugene Walker, this man accolades is like, his sheet is like long. I'm talking about, I was reading like his bio, and it's just like, I just was like, what have you not done in this great life, Dr. Walker? Like he's in the SIAC Hall of Fame. He's in Clark Hall of Fame, Drake High School Hall of Fame. What did I miss, Dr. Walker? You just
well, the primary thing, and I want to do this for everyone's sake. I want to raise up my grandma Emma, because that's the foundation to who I am and hopefully what I become. See, I was raised by my grandmama.
Wow.
I never did really know who my father was, but I was raised by a lady by the name of Emma Walker. That was my grandmama.
Okay.
And before there was a state senator, Eugene Walker, there was Emma Walker. Before there was a PhD from Duke, that was Emma Walker. And fortunately, she instilled in me that sense of worthiness and purpose that I have emulated throughout my life. So I raise her up every opportunity I get. I wouldn't dare to begin the conversation with you without giving credit to my grandma Emma, because I say for her, she gave me the foundation and the drive to do and to be whatever I am today. So
I love that.
Thank you for that opportunity. She taught me things that I learned when I was a sophomore in college that I call the 5 F's,
And what does that stand for? Break it down to him, Dr. Walker.
Oh, I'll be happy to. She told me the first F was that you focus. You focus on education, respect, and responsibility. Because if you focus on education, you will always have that foundation to help you develop to be whatever you want to be.
Wow.
And if you respect people and you be responsible, that's the foundation for your humanity and for your worthiness and development of your character. And she said, you got to have feelings. You got to have feelings. You got to know when to laugh and when to cry. You got to know the difference between what make you happy and what make you sad.
Wow.
And you learn those feelings through experience. You acquire that. And the third F she taught me was you got to be forgiving. You got to know how to forgive people, because if you can't forgive people, then you close the door to love. Forgiveness opens the door to love. And she was very emphatic about that. And she said you really gotta have the desire to force ahead, to really not let somebody tell you that because you're black you can't do this, because you're fat you can't do this, because you're short you can't do this. You just gotta force ahead. That's the third F. You just gotta persevere.
Right.
And the last one, the final one, she said you have to have the faith.
I love that. Break that one down to him, Dr. Walker.
When you can't focus, when you can't feel, you can't forgive, then you gotta have the faith. The faith to know that your Lord, your God, your Savior instilled in you all that you need to persevere and to survive.
Wow.
So those are the things my grandma Emma taught me. And those are the things that I have tried to emulate throughout my life.
I love that.
And I do that to this day, Eric. So
I love that.
you've given me a great opportunity to share that, and I'm grateful.
Yeah, and I love you said that because I think especially in the black community, a lot of young black men and older black men, they're afraid, Dr. Walker, to show their feelings. It's like you being a great leader you are, and it explains who you are. Y'all heard him. He said his grandma laid that foundation, and that's the key. A lot of times in life, we don't appreciate the ones before us, and we don't give thanks to God or the people who put us in a position to win. Y'all heard him. He said first his grandma. He didn't take the credit for himself, and that's big. So tell the people a little bit, Dr. Walker, how was that with you when you started coaching and you were playing and things of that sort? How was it? Did you tell the people around you like it's okay to have feelings and it's okay? Because I know a lot of people that you grew up with throughout the years might have went through a lot of trials and tribulations. And so how did you help people get through that and let them know it's okay to cry sometimes and laugh and things?
It was really the way I was raised, the way I coached, the way I lived, the things that we did. In Thomaston, I graduated from a high school called Drake High School and went to Clark College. And at Clark College, I was fortunate enough to be coached by a great man they call Coach Epps.
Okay.
He was what I call a teacher coach. He taught us. I played football, basketball, and track.
Wow,
and
athlete.
I had to do that on a scholarship. And this was in the 50s, from 54 to 58. And we were pretty good at Clark College during that time. And when I graduated from Clark College, I went back to my hometown of Drake and began coaching football, basketball, and everything else.
Wow.
And we were very, very fortunate in the area of basketball. We won a number of state championships, and I instill in the youngsters the same kind of things that my grandma Emma taught me. You know, it's okay to cry. It's okay to laugh. You have to know what feelings were and how to do it. But most importantly, you had to be proud and respectful and responsible in what you did.
Right.
We were very, very positive and strong in what we did. And we had to, because we won those games. You wouldn't have won those games if you hadn't been a really disciplined, organized group of people. The Monroe Banks, the Wilsons, the Minor Ruckers, the Ray Allens, the Coffins, the Gray Boys, the Pickett's, the Chatmans, all these kids. I can just visualize seeing them right now. You know, just being solid, strong, reliant, and resilient young men.
Right.
And to this day, they treat me somewhat as if I was their father and their role model and their dad. And I'm just grateful. We just had a tremendous time, Eric.
That's awesome,
These
Dr.
are
Walker.
memories that I cherish, and I'm so glad that you and Ron Bivens and the group on a mission to resurrect the lives of these great people. You know, they're not ghosts. They're live human beings who made tremendous contributions. They overcame obstacles and challenges that you wouldn't believe. And for you to be doing this documentary to resurrect their lives and let people know that they did exist, they did persevere, we were accomplished, is a very, I think, fortunate and timely thing.
Thank you, Dr. Walker. Thank you. So I want to touch on that. So as if we were ghosting in your role as a coach and a player, you know, in the earlier time. So how did that make you feel? Because I feel like now in this generation, it's like people do a lot of things, right? And we all kind of want our credit for the things we did. How did that make you feel early on, knowing you were making an impact, but it wasn't like on a national scale? Like, how did that make you feel? Did that make you like, dang, like I'm doing this and I'm a leader, but it's not being seen?
Really, to be honest with you, it didn't come through like that.
Okay.
Because we were just so accomplished. We just, believe it or not, we just felt superior. You know, we could see the kids. The white school, Robert E. Lee was over there, and Drake High School was here. And we figured we could dribble the ball better, we could shoot better, we could run better, we could talk better than the kids over there, but they were getting all the credit. We figured then, as people do now, reality was a myth to them.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't see how great we were,
Mm-hmm.
but we knew how great we were.
Mm-hmm.
They still believed that they were superior when in fact we were demonstrating our superiority by beating them in everything that they were doing. So to be perfectly
Right, I
honest
love
with you,
that.
Eric, I always felt that we were dealing with reality and they were dealing with illusion. So it did not bother us in the sense that it may appear to have bothered us because we knew we were solid, we were substantial, we were legitimate, we were the best at what we were doing.
Right.
And we feel that way today.
I love that.
And it's unfortunate that, you know, people you can tell them a lie and they believe it. They don't embrace the truth.
Right.
And that was the way it was during that time, but we knew the truth and we didn't get discouraged by it.
That's awesome. Dr. Walker, I want to touch on this. So I know me growing up in West Side Atlanta, where I come from, early on, I was personal training a lot of athletes, right? And sometimes I would train these athletes, and then over time, I noticed that they were the streets would get to them, or they would get in gang-related activity, or they would drop out of school and different things, and it would hurt me, Dr. Walker, because I felt like I thought my voice was getting to them, but it's like the streets and different factors took over their life. So how did that make you feel? I'm pretty sure over time you may have certain players that you wanted the best for them, Dr. Walker, but it's like you just can't save everybody. How does that make you feel sometimes?
It's such an interesting question you asked. And I must tell you that as we were coaching, as I was coaching and coming up, I was teaching the kids, and they gave me the impression they were internalizing and acting out what we were teaching. You know, when I tell them to clean the floor, they clean the floor. When I tell them they didn't have the long, short pants and all that kind of stuff, they followed the rules. What is troubling to me, and to me this is critically important, I think during the time I was coaching and we were teaching, the kids were hearing us and adhering to a large extent to what we were saying. What I'm fearful of now is that as black parents and black leaders, we're so busy protecting our kids and giving them what we didn't have, we forget to give them what we were taught, like what my grandma Emma taught me. I think I have a tendency to spoil my grandson. I don't do to my grandson what I did to those kids that I was coaching, or what I required of those kids that I was coaching when I was coming up.
Got you.
So when I was coaching, when we were raising kids, we were very specific and held standards and values. But now that I'm a grandparent in my 80s, I don't do the things today that we did during that time. To be perfectly honest, I don't think I could get away with some of the things today that we got away with during that time, because we were very strict, very rigid, and demanding of our youth, and required them to do things. And if they didn't do them, then we would do some kind of a discipline for them. Nowadays, the discipline is almost invisible. You don't see it. So.
Right. And Dr. Walker, what do you think, how do you think we can bridge that gap to at least get it? Because I know with social media, Dr. Walker, I know, like, you're sharp, man. You're sharp. So you see, like, it seems like they call it going viral now. It's like everything is, like, under a scope. So do you think it's more that if they know if something is getting recorded and it can get out there, the reason they're scared to be a little more strict? Or where is that disconnect, you think?
It's because people don't question things now. They act brain dead. They don't reason. They don't think. They don't try to figure things out. They just absorb and internalize whatever you say. Look at the big lie they're talking about the election. Look at the man who was president of the United States and got such vast following, and all he does is tell lies. They embrace the lies. They're brain dead. People do not question things. And I'm fearful that we are, to a large extent, guilty of that within our ranks. In that we just let people we like and respect say stuff, and we embrace it, and we don't question them to try to get to the real core of what they're saying.
Right.
So my appeal to my people and to youth today is that we should begin to question things. We should begin to try to figure out things for ourselves, and remember that if we believe in Christianity, we all have free will, and that will should lead us to question and advocate for that which we believe.
I love that. I love that. And so what do you think, like, what would you say that your style of, we gonna go a little bit back a little bit. So tell the people about, like, what position did you play coming up and stuff like that? Break that down. Like, were you like a point forward, or like, because I know the game of basketball and football has evolved. So tell them a little bit about, like, your playing days and stuff like that.
When I played ball, I was 6'5". The most I weighed was about 198 pounds. But during that time in the 50s and early 60s, that was a big dude. I was a big dude.
Right.
And I was very aggressive, very assertive, and I used that to my advantage. So I was able to play a pretty good game of basketball and football. And track, I did the shot put. And
you were strong.
Yeah, so I was able to make my mark, and I did pretty good on that. But when I got to Drake High School and I was the coach, the thing that happened that I think is a little bit revealing is once we had won all those championships, and when they finally started integrating the school in 1968 and 69, the superintendent wanted me to give up my coaching at Drake High School and go to R.E. Lee and be an assistant coach. And the person at R.E. Lee, who had not won a district championship, not to mention a state championship, and I just refused to do that, and I quit and just left Thomaston. That's when I went up to Atlanta.
Oh my goodness! So that's how you came to Atlanta.
That's how I came to
Y'all,
Atlanta.
that is some history facts. So
and went on a wing and a crab. My
Right.
wife and I went and started living with her aunt Binky, and lived with them. And I was able to get a job at Clark College. And my wife was able to get a teaching job in Fulton County. And we haven't looked back. That was the beginning.
I love that. So Dr. Walker, do you feel like sometimes in life, like your sacrifice, like for you standing, that's what we talk about with leadership and this theme of the day. Do you feel like sometimes being a leader, that comes with having to stand on your own, 10 and say, no, I'm not going to settle for this. I'm going to stand.
Remember my fifth F. You have to have faith. We had faith. We left Thomaston, didn't have a penny in our pocket, went and lived with my Aunt Binky and Aunt Clifton, and that's where we began our role, and we haven't looked back.
I love it. I love it.
Back.
So tell them, Dr. Walker, a little bit about your role in a HBCU school. Like, do you feel like over time that I know you laid that foundation. Like, tell them a little bit about the HBCU experience.
It was the most extraordinary experience I had. Now, Eric, you must understand how I got to the HBCU.
Mm-hmm.
It was because of my grandma Emma.
Wow.
When I was finishing high school in Thomaston, Georgia in 1954, my goal was to stay there and work at Stevenson Service Station and give that $25 to my grandma Emma because I know she needed it.
You knew she
needed it.
needed it.
In Washington, she had taken care of us. I was a tremendously proud young man. So one day, while servicing the truck, a man from Atlanta named Coach Epps came down and asked me, they got me out in the truck, if I wanted to go to Clark College and play basketball. They would give me a scholarship. I really didn't know what a scholarship was.
Oh, wow.
But he said, if you go, you wouldn't have to pay. Just play football and basketball and sports.
Right.
And I told him, I didn't think I want to do that because I'm working at the station taking care of my grandmama. He said, well, don't answer my question. I got to go to Fort Valley, and I'll be coming back tomorrow, and you give me your answer.
Wow.
And I said, okay, you can come back, but I can tell you now, I don't think I'm going. So when I got home, and my grandma Emma was feeding me my collard greens and candy yams like we normally do.
Ooh, that sounds good.
Out of the clear blue sky, she asked me, when you going to that school in Atlanta? And I said, well, no, I didn't even know she knew about something like that. I said, Grandma, I ain't going to no school in Atlanta.
Right.
I'm going to stay here and take care of you.
Right.
And she told me, you going to that school, you're going to have to find you another place to live. That was just like somebody had hit me in the top of the head with a battling stick. I was shattered. But I didn't argue with my grandmama.
Right.
I just grimaced, and the next day when that man came back, I told him, yes, sir, I want to go on to Atlanta. And that was how I got to Clark College.
Mm.
It took me 2 years to forgive my grandmama because I thought she didn't like me. She
What?
hated me. But it took me 2 years to realize that was the best thing that ever happened to me.
Wow.
She forsaked all that I thought I was doing for her, which I thought was great, giving her them little $25,
Right.
and made me go and develop myself.
Mm.
That is how I got to Clark College.
Mm-hmm.
My grandma made me go.
Wow, that's powerful. That's powerful, Dr. Walker. So, at your time at Clark, you started playing, and then you ended up coaching there. So, how was that transition from player to coach?
Because of the training of Coach Epps, who was the basketball and football coach. He was a teacher coach. He taught us the basics and the fundamentals, and I absorbed that. And once I graduated from Clark and went to Thomaston Drake High School, I taught my kids the same thing, and we played the kind of basketball that Coach Wooden was playing at UCLA. You know,
so around that time.
Press, yeah.
Okay.
And we competed with LaGrange, Griffin, Fort Valley, all of the schools, Americas, all the schools in that area. And for the whole 10 years I was coaching, we were always 1 or 2 in the district, and either 1 or 2 in the finals in the state tournament. So
wow.
We won at least 3 state championships during my 10-year coaching. So
that's awesome. So how does that feel? Because there's a lot of people out here, Dr. Walker, and this brings a great question. So think about this, Dr. Walker. It's so many people out here. You got players, you got coaches every day. It's like they're practicing and they're playing, but if you don't win that championship, a lot of coaches call that like a failed season. But you won a lot of championships. So what is your response to that for people feeling like it's failed if they don't win a championship?
I think they missed the boat about the essence of coaching.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that I try to get all coaches to realize, which is hard to do, is that their ball players mirror in their play what the coach think of them. Mm-hmm. Eric, if you think your ball player can perform and deliver, he or she will perform and deliver. Mm. If you think your ball player can't perform and deliver, they won't. Even kids with minimal skills, they try to project in their play what they visualize and internalize the coach thinking of them.
Right.
And that is one of the handicaps of our coaches, is that they get some fixed notion about a kid they've seen, and they instill that notion on the kid, and be unaware that is the force that's driving or diminishing that kid, mm-hmm. instead of realizing that they got to assert and impose positivism on the kid so that they can perform at their best.
Wow.
And that's my concern about coaching. And today's coaches, they do great violence to young people, especially these people who be coaching these little league guys, kids all around.
Yeah.
They don't understand the harm they're doing, and that bothers me.
And do you feel like it's like everybody wants that child to go to the league or the NBA or something like that? That's
not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
Y'all heard it from Dr. Walker. He know best.
No, it's not going to happen. Uh-huh. But at least you can instill in them the characteristics of good character,
got you,
of sportsmanship, of being disciplined, of knowing how to play by the rules. Mm-hmm. And that's the purpose of the sports. You learn how to play by rules. Mm-hmm. There's some great lessons in sports. Mm-hmm. If you learn the rules and apply those rules to your daily life, mm-hmm. I can assure you'll be successful.
Wow. Can you tell us a little bit about some of the players that you coached over the years? Like, what is one player or a couple of players that you just like, wow, like he really made me proud? Can you let them know about?
Well, I'm one that's just like my son now. He stays in touch with me to this day. Monroe Banks. He was just an awesome young kid.
Wow.
He was on both of my state championship teams. Mm-hmm. And he played with this young white guy who initiated this project, the one who went to the University of Georgia.
Herb White.
Herb knows Monroe Banks.
Wow.
Monroe Banks was one of my players, one of my like my son to this day.
So Herb and Monroe came up at the same round.
They must have, because
That's
Herb
great.
knows Monroe, and they played ball together. After Monroe graduated from Drake High School, he played after he finished high school.
Okay.
And they know each other, so I'm just so delighted at the way Herb and Wilson Smith and Minder Rucker, Ray Allen, all of these guys have just turned out to be
When you say Ray Allen, you talking about Ray Allen, or is it another Ray Allen?
Well,
Ray Allen for the Miami Heat and
no.
okay, it's
None
another
of my
Ray.
kids
Okay.
went to play professional
Oh,
ball.
I got you. Okay.
No, this is a young man who
Another Ray
lives in the metro area now,
Got you. Okay.
Ray Allen, but he's not a professional ball player.
Got you. So tell us a little bit about your role in As If We Were Ghosts. Did Herb reach out to you, or Ron? Who reached out to you?
Ron
Okay.
has been doing a great deal of research,
Mm-hmm.
and Ron graduated from America's high school.
Okay.
And I think Ron is a little bit confused about some of the things that happened down there. I keep reminding Ron that my basketball team was the champion, but he confused basketball with football.
With football, got
Now,
you.
we did not beat them in football. We beat them in basketball.
Right.
But Ron dismissed that because he was an all-star quarterback, and he didn't want to think that was everything. But the fact of the matter is, Drake High School was the dominant one in the basketball area for District 3, and that's what I have to remind Ron of all the time.
Right. I love that. Yep. So tell a little bit about, like, did you ever feel like at one point, like when you were coaching, that somebody tried to stop like something, a certain type of style that you were instilling in the players? Was it ever a point where you like, I see what's going on, but I must keep going and I must keep fighting through this obstacle?
I never had that experience.
Wow.
Because we were so positive in what we were doing.
Okay.
You know, we figured we had a focus, we had a plan, we had a determination, and we had a foundation. And if we practiced these things, we would succeed. And I told you, we persevered. Whatever obstacle was in front of us, you know, we could overcome it. You know, in Drake, I was not only the basketball coach, I was the bus driver, I was the janitor of the gym.
Wow.
I was everything.
Leadership. You hear him, leadership.
Yeah, we drove the bus. And we were one of the few schools in the area that had our own little bus. It was a miracle how we went all over the state of Georgia, that thing nowadays. I'm just think about it, it's shuddering.
How did you, like, so I'm saying, like, was you married at that time? Like,
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. So how did your wife feel about all them roles? Because I know you did.
My wife was the beautiful thing. She kept the house going.
Okay.
And I was the one being the father to all of those kids in those schools. I was working all day at Drake High School, and Pat was just taking care of my kids in the home, and she totally supported me. She came to every one of our games and enjoyed it to the nth degree because they were exciting games. But I invested our whole life in it, and for 10 years we did that down there at Drake High School in Thomaston, Georgia.
Wow, I love that. So to wrap up a little bit, Dr. Walker, is there anything that you feel like you want to touch on to the leaders out here and the future leaders? Because one thing I love Dr. Walker say, if you listen to him, y'all, the main thing he was saying, he had a great infrastructure from his grandma. He took that infrastructure and built this legendary resume that he has. It goes on, and now he's still giving back and still giving that leadership. So, Dr. Walker, just if you want to touch on anything out there to any upcoming leaders that can try to get at least half of your resume, what would you tell them?
We have a tremendous responsibility as leaders, and that responsibility in my mind is twofold. Number one, we have to adhere to the principles and values that we know is sound for our people, black people. We got to know that we must be responsible. We must be respectful. We must be able to have the kind of sound character that will carry us forward and be able to forgive people when they make mistakes. We just have to practice that because that's how we survive. But number one, two, we can't keep deluding ourselves. You know, when were coming up and acting like we smiled when we didn't want to, and act like things were good when we knew they were bad. We were filling in and making the other side feel good about what they were doing. And now we got to stop that. We got to start searching for truth and searching for facts and start emphasizing that you got to know right from wrong. And if you're on the wrong side, we're going to call you out. And we got to get out of that Stephen Fletcher mentality and start telling people you're lying when you lie and tell them you're telling the truth when you're telling the truth. And that's incumbent upon us as a people. We must insist that our people do that from the cradle to the grave. And if we can do that, I believe we'll be all right as a people.
Yep. Y'all heard him. Y'all heard it here first from Dr. Walker. Y'all, look. It was a great show, man. This is episode 2. I'm here with Dr. Eugene Walker. And y'all remember my slogan is always IBIM, I believe in me, and I believe in you. Dr. Eugene Walker has exemplified leadership throughout years, y'all. And this is what we stand for. Sometimes, y'all, it's okay to do more than one task, to be that person that leads the way. Sometimes you have to lead the way. Don't worry about what other people are doing around you. You be the leader. You be the person that you want others to be that's coming up behind you, y'all. This is As If We Were Ghosts, episode 2. I am your host, Eric Roberts, better known as ATL E-Rob. Look, I want you all to remember to follow all our social medias. That is Our Studios. That is me at ATL_E-Rob. Our website at ourstudios.com and my website at erob.tv. And y'all, just keep going. Don't give up. Try to be like Dr. Walker. Try to be like him. You hear me? and like I said, y'all, remember to follow all our social medias. This is Mr. IBIM, I believe in me, and I believe in you. And thank you, Dr. Eugene Walker,
My great pleasure.
for coming behind the scenes.
Inspiration, baby.
No problem. No problem. Point at that camera for him, Dr. Walker.
Yes.
Point at it.
Point at it.
Boom.